guys, here's the gear for today. A couple of new items, we'll explain those. Gotta get this brush back in the water. It hasn't spent too much time yet before the shave in the water. Get those tips soft. It's a finest badger, so I like to let those go for several minutes in the water before the shave. The tips do absorb a little bit of water. All right. The rest of it is new. I bought a mystery box online, and a lot of times when you do that, what you need to consider is the person who is selling the mystery box. And are they a solid person in the community? Are they a cheapskate? That sort of thing. If a person says that, you know, this box contains $100 worth of stuff and I want to sell it to you for $80, I don't think that's a very good deal, because even though you are saving some money, since it's a mystery box, it's probably stuff that maybe with a lot of people, it's stuff they couldn't sell. And so you might not like half of it. You may only like a third of it. And so to get just a small discount and only like a third of it, you know, it's so I consider the person, and the person who sold this one, just awesome stand-up guy in the community, and so I considered it virtually no risk at all, and I was rewarded very well. I do have a big soap collection, and so I was a little concerned that there would be some duplication, and there was, but it was good stuff duplication, and I'll be able to sell it and pass it on to somebody else. But the cool thing was that the ones that I liked were ones that I was really very interested in trying. There was another Spearhead soap other than this one. I haven't tried anything from Spearhead yet. They're one of the newest soap vendors, I believe, on the market lately. And so I'm really looking forward. This is Lavender Vanilla, the previous owner. Or maybe Spearhead did that. You know, it's all experimental and this is beta. He was trying to work out his soap formula. I looked up online the Lavender Vanilla on trythatsoap.com, and it told me about the write-up. Just a few cent notes. Lavender, Vanilla, and Tonka were kind of the ones that jump out at me when I smell the tub. This is version 20.1 if the internet is to be believed. It doesn't say 20.1 on the packaging, but it is. And so it is far along in the process. It may be one that he's going to base his real stuff on. You know, it's not something early on. And so we're going to have fun looking at Spearhead. I don't even believe it's, yeah, I don't even believe it's been used. I'm going to have to track down my little teaspoon measure just in case I don't end up liking the scent. Be able to sell it, and it's a cleaner type sell. Now, I picked my Astra Superior Platinum with just a couple of uses because I'm trying a new razor. In that same mystery box was this. Now, this is the same handle that I've gotten from AliExpress, from Yaqi, and I'm sure it's probably plated brass or something to that effect. It may even be stainless steel. But I'm sure it's a good quality handle. And I'm also sure that this is probably just a zinc alloy, you know, Zamac type head. And it's this double open comb here. The blade sits between the open comb on the base plate and another open comb on the top cap. I think the open comb on the top cap is pretty much a gimmick. But we'll try it out anyway, because I've got it. It's not one, this kind of gimmicky thing is not one that I would normally, you know, buy. But since I've got it, why don't I bring it to you guys? So here's the base plate. It's got a little cutaway there that the blade is going to bend over. Pretty standard top cap. We've got 3 posts, threaded one in the middle, And then, of course, you've got the addition of the open comb there. And I'm sure that the idea, I think Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements sells one of these, and so maybe they're the only one, or maybe if they're just rebranding something from Yaqi, then maybe that's what's going on. But let's go ahead and put the blade in. It's a very thin base plate there. Now what I am thinking is that they're assuming that they want you to believe that not having a solid bar here means that maybe you'll get better glide, but maybe this is for guys who make sucky lathers, dry lathers that don't give you good glide. I have solid bar, bottom and top, that where the razor just glides effortlessly. And so I don't need gimmicks and tricks to try to make that happen. But let's look at the exposure. Doesn't look like it's giving a lot of exposure there. It's laying, one cool thing is that it's laying on top of the comb here. And so you're getting a lot of support on the bottom of the blade, and the top comes pretty close to the edge. So this may be a nice shaver if those things hold true. If maybe the bottom hasn't cut away or anything like that. So it may be holding the blade really well, and in that case, maybe that's what I like about it instead of some kind of comb gimmick, just the simple geometry of the head. This is kind of like what Fatip razors do. They have a pretty flat base plate that the blade lays over, and then the top cap presses it down on top of the base plate. And this is a blade, the Astra Superior Platinum, that does well for me in so many razors, and that's why I chose it today. All right, I'm going to take and remove, oh, it's a nice firm soap. That's good, I like that. Usually means pretty good soap economy, where you get a lot of shaves per amount of soap. Sorry. As you can see, this spooning keeps everything clean instead of brush loading on the tub. If I knew I was going to keep it, I would just brush load on the tub. But since it's a easygoing scent that doesn't have tons of character, it's just a nice scent to enjoy, but I've got tons of those already. I may end up passing it on to somebody. If I do keep it, I'll start brush loading from it. It's pretty firm. I like that too. So since it's firm, we don't want to have any big chunks as I press it into the bottom of my lather bowl here. We don't want to have any loose chunks, because what happens is they can come loose. And when I said loose chunks, I mean like a chunk on the bottom of the bowl that could easily come up off the bottom. And then if it does do that, it would just float around and get pushed around by the brush. I think that's pretty good. A few down right there. All right. Shake out a lot of the water because this brush holds a good bit. This is my Wolf Whiskers handle that I got at a meetup last year. And then it's got a Manchuria knot from Oumo brush over via AliExpress. So, 1/4 teaspoon of soap. Now, if you wanted to be really precise, you could always load your soap with a spoon, scoop it, I did it for a while. I decided that I like the feel of loading from the tub and the brush. That just had, you know, part of the way I shave, there's just a feel component to it. You're identifying with the men who've gone before you and have been shaving and used brushes and blades instead of cans of goo, and there's a certain feel you get when you're, you know, mixing up your lather, when you're removing the razor across your skin. And I decided that scooping a certain amount of soap from a tub didn't really fit in with the paradigm that I kind of want for my shaves. Alright, so that's how much I get with just the water that was in the brush. Version 17 apparently was one that he put out, Spearhead guy, and maybe he made a batch or two of that, because this in version 20.1, which is this one, he mentioned that this one was as good as that 17, but it was easier to lather and it required less water. This is a really nice combination of notes. Now, one nice thing about scooping is that you don't have to worry about which brush you're using. You don't have to worry about, is the brush too soft to pick up the soap, which is what I experienced the last shave. My silver tip from Zenith, I was working it down inside of a soap that probably hadn't been used in a while, and I don't think maybe I was getting the flex. I don't think the brush was activating and moving around in the soap tub as good as it should have been, and so I don't think it was picking up as much soap. But if you scoop and spread it around in your bowl, you don't have to worry about that at all. It takes away that variable. And so if you're having trouble with your lathers, that switching to scooping temporarily might be of help to you. Well, this lather sure looks good. It's got a nice creamy texture. The write-up did say that this soap base had good post-shave qualities. It's not something that I value a whole lot, but apparently his design methodology or purpose is along the lines of the New Barrister and Man and Declaration and, you know, Noble Otter. Goals of post-shave moisturization. I keep my hands clean of lather just because it makes it easier to hold on to the brush if my hand is either dry or only wet. This is a short little handle, so I often have soapy fingers when using this brush. I really like the knot, and it's a special handle because it's the first meetup I ever went to. With my son. We had a great time. So it is really interesting, the notes that are coming up to me here. Let's look at the book. I wrote down the notes. Tonka, bergamot. Bergamot's in the orange family. I think the bergamot is the woody heart. I don't think the bergamot is the blossom of the orange tree or orange bush or whatever. So tonka, bergamot, vanilla, lavender, cedar, and coriander. I don't really know what coriander smells like, but I think I'm starting to smell the cedar, and it's adding a very interesting dimension. It's not jumping out as, you know, cedar is often used in soaps, and I don't like it when it's really dominant, but right here it's being used as a player, as a supporting cast member, and I think it's working really well. I definitely pick up the tonka, the vanilla, and probably the lavender. Now the lavender might be wrapped up with the sweetness of the tonka and the dominance of the vanilla so much that if you didn't tell me there was lavender in there, I may not be able to pick that out. My nose is not that good. I haven't really got the bergamot scent yet, but I think I'm also smelling the cedar now that it's lathered. I didn't really get the cedar when it was a dry puck. So there we go, version 20.1E. E is in echo. I looked up on their website, and this scent is not in their current offerings. I don't know if this is if this was a limited release, if this is the current production base that he has, or if he moved on from there. This just looks terrific. Look at the texture of the soap. Obviously you can see how glossy it is, but that's not important in figuring out a good lather. Some lathers are wonderful and they are not glossy at all. They're just matte. Look at the texture though. We don't have a lot of peaks and valleys, a lot of ridges, things like that. It's a very creamy type of appearance. Look how elastic that is. Oh, that could be just perfect. So let's try that. A lot of these new soap bases that focus on moisturization are not going to have lathers that rise up and have high structure and are very puffy. A lot of them are going to be more low because they've got butters and oils and things like that mixed in with the soap. All right, well, I feel like I have tons of lather to work with. Oh, that's creamy. That is nice and smooth. See if there's any water in the goatee I need to get out. Feels great on the face. And it does feel wet too. It's not feeling dry and cakey. Probably needs a little bit more water though. So what we'll do is we'll take some of the water off the outside of the brush. Turning my head to the side so that the water doesn't leak out the bottom of the handle. Stays a part of the lather. What you do is you watch the lather after you add some water. And I added a good bit. I added 1/4 teaspoon. And it's getting creamy and nice. This is a terrific, feels like a terrific lather. In terms of, I'm talking about the soap base here. Looks like he has done his homework and has found a very good formula to make a good lather. And so even with it being as elastic as you saw in the bowl, I still needed to put a little bit more water in it. How about that? Scent strength is about 5 out of 10. Woody lavender, with a little bit of sweetness from the vanilla. It almost feels like a mix, a scent accord. Now look at this. You see all that lather that was generated? That's proof that my lather kind of needed more water before, because I got rid of all the lather that was on the outside of the brush and it basically produced more. So it definitely needed more water. And what are we looking at now? That's 3.5 teaspoons of water. And I'll go ahead and add another teaspoon to the bowl so that the subsequent passes, or I don't have to do this too. Feels great. Really slick, creamy, really nice lather. It almost smells like a scent combo that nobody thought of because it like wasn't meant to happen. And you're not sure if you enjoy it or not, but I think I am. All right. So I've used this handle before. It's a neat little handle. It's got the knurling here that gives you great grip in the normal hold that you might have. And then it's wider at the bottom. And for me, the stroke that I do right here, a wide bottom and a narrow part right here, I'm very grateful for that design when I'm doing that particular stroke. All right, let's see what we get. Double open comb. Ooh, that's nice. It's singing a little bit, and so it's not locked down a lot. I think it's just the geometry. It's not that. See, look. Can you see that? There's like no lather in the comb there, and there's not really supposed to be. If there's lather in that comb, that means in general you are riding the top cap and the blade's not touching the skin. A little bit of blade feel and kind of some noise, probably because that the bottom support there, the blade is like, here's the curve of that base plate. The blade is laying on it, but then it's coming up. See my fingertips move up just a little bit? It's wanting to be straight, and so as the base plate drops away, it continues to be straight, but it's still getting very good support, so it's not going to be pressed down very much. So I think that's why I'm getting a really nice consistent feel here. And again, look, I just did a bunch of shaving. Very little lather is in the comb there. So I don't like gimmicks, but this razor shaves well in spite of the gimmick, because what they did was a nice design to support the blade. It is a little noisier than I might like. You know, my Carve and Wolfman, Fatipes, some of the vintage razors, the Techs and stuff don't let the blade kind of hang out quite like that, and so they don't sound this way. It's a really good lather. So about this scent, I believe I probably would rather not have the vanilla be quite so strong. Vanilla can often take over an accord, and I kind of believe it's taken over this one to a degree. I'm putting some water in the lather and gonna give it a good mix here. So I'll have to add it on my face. And so this is definitely a vanilla-centric scent, to my nose at least, to what I'm perceiving. The Nivea Deep Conditioning Aftershave Lotion. It's an alcohol-based splash. It's vanilla-based as well. So I think it would be a perfect combo to this. But I don't really like heavy-duty vanillas, and I don't think this is heavy-duty, but it's just vanilla dominant. And I think that's what's causing me to have some pause about the scent, to be able to tell you whether I like the scent or not. Yeah, see, I added actually 1.5 teaspoons of water. This is the kind of elasticity we're getting here. Look at how thin that peak was, and it's still holding together. Look at that long stretch. See, that tells you about the lather. Now it's still got some body. See, it's holding itself up right there. It's not, this little peak right here is not collapsing fully, so I could probably add more water if I wanted to, but I don't. Okay. So, wow, that 1/4 teaspoon is giving me a lot of lather. So that means it's a nice economical soap where you'll get plenty of shaves from your tub. Yeah, look at that. This is a really nice soap base, guys. I mean, to me, this might just compete with the big dogs. Barrister and Man, Declaration Grooming, those guys. Let's see how it feels. Yeah, if you like those, the ones that are really focusing on post-shave, then this is right up that alley. Kind of a soft, fuzzy type of slickness that those buttery, oily, type soaps are doing these days. It really might be similar enough to them. Well done, Mr. Spearhead guy. And back to the razor now. This was sent to me without a box, and I mean, I can obviously contact the guy, ask him what the brand name, if it's just the Yaqi one or if it's the Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements one. That's not a brand that I use a lot of because he kind of got some questionable business ethics. And we just have lots of soap vendors that we can choose from. So I've got a choice. I'm going to try to support those businesses that a little bit less shady and questionable practices and things like that. That's the second pass, and I seem to be getting a very good shave. Of course, we'll evaluate it at the end to make sure the closeness is there, because that is kind of the point, right? Loving this brush. This Oumo Manchuria SHD Finest Badger is the kind of the full title. It's not an expensive knot. Just about the hand, the HTHM, something like that. That is the one that maybe has a little bit more backbone in the bristles, and the tips may be a little softer, but to me these are really soft. And that HT is the one that Maggards uses as their SHD knot, and I like it a lot. But to be honest, because of the more relaxed backbone, I like this one better, because that's just my style. You can see we've got a drippy lather here, and here we go. Take a look. Very little suds up in the comb It's definitely got a little bit of blade feel, and that's how I'm assuming I'm going to walk away with a nice close shave here. Now, I've got some other razors that shave that area just a little better. Man, this soap is really nice. It looks good in the bowl. It's not really a big deal, but it's fun. It's a nice bonus to have. It feels good in the fingers. Feels great on the face as you're applying it with the brush. It performs. It gives your razor a nice, slick environment to just slide safely all over your face. As you're doing touch-ups, it leaves residual slickness on your face. Luxurious, good word for it. So yeah, after having 3 passes to kind of evaluate the scent, one thing I'm really happy about is the scent strength. If this was a scent that I really enjoyed, it would just be all around me and I would be soaking it up and enjoying it so much. With the amount of vanilla that's in here, it's not quite something I want to keep. But I can see how some people might really enjoy it. It's like a vanilla scent, but it's got some extra stuff in there to mature it and keep it from just being a vanilla scent. So I think it's well designed. It's just designed for somebody maybe who doesn't have my preferences. So you know what we're going to do? Midnight Stag. I'm going to see about overcoming vanilla with the Stag. Leather, gasoline, smoke, wood. That's what I'm talking about. There's definitely a place for lavender soaps. I've got some. Oh, but there's a place for Midnight Stag in my den. That is for sure. Family doesn't like it, so I use it when I'm not going to be around them. Well, we just had 3 passes with that 1/4 teaspoon. And we've still got lots of soap. I could probably squeeze 3 passes out of this, but I know I could get 2 out of what's left here in the bowl and brush. So it's economical. Doesn't seem like he's sacrificing volume by adding in the butters and fats and oils or whatever he's done for the post-shave qualities. So Spearhead gets a big thumbs up. This is my first time trying them out. Very nice lather. Now with these dense knots, I've been telling you this a lot. It's important to give them a really good rinse. Take a look here. I just did a really good rinse. Do you see the spot? Right there. I gave it a good shake out, and what that did was it brought the soap that was behind this area to the surface. So that's an area that's still got soap in it. Got to keep rinsing. I'm really enjoying this knot. Really, really enjoying it. Ah, Midnight Stag. So the amount of water I added, 1.5 teaspoons to the second pass of lather, and then obviously it carried over to the third, was 1.5 teaspoons, and that brought me up to 5 teaspoons used in the shave. And that was perfect. The second and third lathers were just perfect. Ultra slick, still creamy. Perfect. So this double overhead, double open comb razor, performs well. Yeah, nice close results here in my trouble spot. Better on my neck. Very happy with the razor in terms of the performance, the feel of it. A little bit of audio there. I'd like for it to be a little bit smoother, and got a ton of other razors. But this is not an expensive razor, so I could just keep it. Could do an evaluation with it later on. You know, somebody ask a question about, hey, could you compare this one with that one? Might be worth a few bucks just to kind of keep it around. So we'll see, but it's not one I'm going to turn to too often because of that, the audio. I've just got other razors that bite down a little better, more firm, and so I get a smoother shave while being just as efficient. But if I had to use it, if I was traveling and I went into a store and it's one that they had in stock and I didn't have time to order anything, or I'd forgotten my razor, they got stolen or whatever, I wouldn't have a problem using it with a close shave. It didn't tug or anything like that. Just moved through the hairs cleanly. That vibration and audio chatter is really the only ding with this one. So I wouldn't have a problem using it in that type of situation, and I enjoy nice close shaves and fair amount of comfort. Since this razor is most likely a Zamac pot metal head, you are going to need to be careful about the threading right here, because the wear and tear on that threading is going to be the first weak point of use. And so when the chrome and plating gets worn away from the threading, the pot metal is exposed. And once that happens, water can very quickly degrade that. And that's why you have so many people have the Edwin Jaggers and the Mercurs and the Parkers and the Muleys. The head, usually during a drop, because that's a point of high stress, will pop off, and a portion of this bolt will still be in the handle because that's the failure point. So it's not as important if you dry this after every shave when you're in that first bunch of shaves, because you've still got a lot of the plating there. But I would say after you've used it 100 times or something like that, I might start disassembling it and just keeping that dry. And then as long as you didn't pay too much for the head, then you should be able to get your money's worth easily, as it could last 6-8 years with good care, right? And hopefully then this head would only cost you about 12 or 15 bucks, if that. And so that's a good return for your money, right? You don't always have to buy the stainless stuff. It's nice, the brass. They don't corrode very much at all. But there's nothing wrong also with a good Zamac type razor, as long as you don't pay the Mercur prices, and especially not the Vikings blade prices for these Zamac razors. And that's just my personal little soapbox there. Pay the Bailey prices, and that's actually something that I was meaning to say here. I'm glad I came full circle. This razor probably 18 bucks because it's got a nice handle and then a cheap head. As long as that's kind of the price range, then I'm happy with this razor. This one starts getting 30 bucks, then no, there are just better razors to be had for that. Because of the singing, because of the audio, if I had to pick one and order it, I probably would not choose this razor. I would probably get the Bailey that has the very curvy head to it. It kind of looks like a vintage tech. The 191 has that nice curvy head. The problem is the 191 has the bulbous kind of handle that looks like the Viking Godfather. It probably is the Viking Godfather, but that's another story. I don't like that chrome handle. It's a little too slippery when it gets soapy. There is another by Lee, and I can't remember the number, 170 something maybe, that has that same head, that same curvy head. And it just really locks the blade in well, and it's a smooth shaver, but it's got a more textured handle for gripping and that sort of thing. And so that one might be my go-to if I had to pick from a cheap Zamac razor instead of this one, because that other one's a little bit more consistent, smooth, because of the grip on the blade close to the edge. Good news is, if you found yourself with this razor, maybe you thought of the gimmick. The good news is you stumbled into a good razor. As long as you didn't pay more than 25 bucks or 20 bucks for it, not including shipping, then I think you've made a good purchase and have gotten a good value for your money. That's my personal opinion. And there we go. That's the end of the shave. Face feels great. I did feel a little tenderness in my skin. Maybe because of the chatter. Because when you hear the sound of the blade, then that means the blade's vibrating. And I'd rather have a blade move smoothly across my skin than at the microscopic level vibrate across my skin. And but it might also be just a little bit deceptive in its exposure. Nice slick soap might also have hidden a little bit of the aggression, but I don't feel anything now, and that's with an alcohol splash too. So it seemed to treat my face pretty well. All right. Well, this is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and what a great lather, what a great shave. Enjoyed trying a new razor, and enjoyed the brush. I think we're good. So, hope there's been something good in here for you. You take care. Good night.